Good morning, I'm Gretchen Hall. It is a Wednesday, the 18th day of June, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. The House of Representatives has to officially name Attorney Antonio Odi Bucoy as the spokesperson for the prosecution panel in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. Bucoy confirms that the prosecution panel will soon file pleadings before the impeachment court, including motions to clarify recent procedural actions. Filipino concern over online misinformation has reached a record 67%, marking a 4-point increase from 2024 and a 10-point jump from 2020. This is according to the Reuters Institute Digital News report. And former Congressman Teves will undergo major surgery after being rushed to the hospital Tuesday morning due to severe stomach pain. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, the House Prosecution Panel has introduced a seasoned litigation lawyer as its official spokesperson for the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Here is the report.
The House of Representatives has formally introduced Attorney Antonio Odi Bucoy as a spokesperson of the prosecution panel for the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Bucoy is a seasoned litigation lawyer with more than 4 decades of experience. He worked with statesmen and legal luminaries like Joker Arroyo, Jose Jokno, and Lorenzo Tañada, who Bucoy said would be ashamed by the current Senate's recent actions.
Mahihiya sila. Ikahihiya nila itong ginagawa ng kasalukuyang Senado. Iba yung komposisyon nun eh. Iba. Umaani ng respeto. Walang patutsada. Ngayon ho, dahil sa actuation nila, maraming patutsada.
According to Bucoy, the prosecution panel will soon file official pleadings before the Senate, which now sits as impeachment court. These filings may include motions or manifestations intended to clarify or respond to the Senate's recent procedural actions. He also echoed former Chief Justice Reynato Puno's view that Senate President Chis Escudero committed grave abuse of discretion in handling the proceedings.
Ang mga naging actuation and ruling ni Senate President Chis Escudero as the presiding officer of the impeachment court ay wala ho sa saligang batas yan. Kagaya po ng pag-remand. Hindi po ang pag-remand, ibig sabihin, yung lower court should reconsider. Yung remand ay para sa ordinaryong kaso, sa ordinaryong hukuman, but never sa impeachment court.
As of now, 16 lawyers will represent the Vice President in the trial. They are from the Fortun Narvasa and Salazar law firm, which will be led by founding partner attorney Philip Siegfried Fortun. Fortun was also among the defense lawyers of former President Erap Estrada during the 2001 impeachment trial. Senator Coco Pimentel, who was among those who opposed returning the articles of impeachment to the House, advised critics not to elevate the matter to the Supreme Court.
Ako mismo, I will advise not to go to the Supreme Court. Possible delay. Tsaka, ano ma-achieve nun? Ano lang, baka bumalik pa sa step 1.
According to Pimentel, there is also no need for certain senators to inhibit or accuse themselves from the trial. Earlier, the minority bloc in the House called for the inhibition of Senator Judges Amy Marcos and Robin Padilla due to their open support for VP Sara.
Around 150 Filipinos in Israel are now appealing to be repatriated as the Israel-Iran conflict escalates. Overseas Filipino workers scramble to get to the bomb shelter as ballistic missiles were fired by Iran.
John Monday. That's all. Mommy.
Filipino caregiver Cheryl Gutierrez, on the other hand, was able to reach the bomb shelter just in time, but nothing prepared her for the impact.
Ay, Diyos ko po. Nabulaga kami. Talagang yung ano mo, hindi mo alam kung paano ka babangon. Yung mga kasama kong iba po dito, nagba-blackout nga po.
In the latest attack, Iran's missiles penetrated the Iron Dome and hit the city of Petah Tikva. They also blasted the oil refinery plant in Haifa. 7 Filipinos were among the wounded, 2 of whom are in critical condition. Former Congressman Arnie Teves is set to undergo major surgery. He was rushed to the hospital Tuesday morning after complaining of severe stomach pain. Teves was under detention at Camp Bagong Diwa when he experienced severe discomfort. His lawyer, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, said initial in-house treatment failed, prompting a transfer to a government hospital where doctors recommended immediate surgery. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology said all protocols for emergency medical care involving high-profile detainees were followed. Teves is facing multiple charges, including the murder of Governor Roel Degamo. Don't go away. We'll be back with more stories right after a quick break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. 100 Chinese nationals who were pogo workers have been deported to Shanghai, China. The deportees were apprehended during operations in several locations nationwide. The Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission and the Bureau of Immigration oversaw the deportation process at the NAIA. According to PAOK, it was the Chinese government that shouldered the airfare for the repatriated workers.
Natutuwa sila dyan kasi nga bukod sa natutulungan natin sila in terms of marami tayong nahuhuli na mga pogo workers, na mga scammers, napipigil din natin yung iba pang magiging biktima doon sa kanilang bansa.
Meanwhile, the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission has raised the alarm over abusive online lending apps victimizing thousands of Filipinos. PAOK revealed that many borrowers are lured by seemingly easy repayment schemes only to find themselves saddled with hidden charges and ballooning interest. Once a borrower misses a payment, they are often referred to other lending apps, trapping them in a cycle of endless borrowing. In response, PAOK, together with the Philippine National Police and Securities Exchange Commission, has launched a one-stop help desk to assist victims. Over 6,000 cases have already been reported. Authorities are now investigating whether several of these apps are operated by a single group, possibly linked to former Philippine offshore gaming operators. The SEC urges the public to verify lending firms via its official website or hotline. To talk more about this concern, we are now joined on the show by PAOK spokesperson Winston Casio. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to all our viewers today.
Okay, una-una po, just curious, what led the PAOK to take a closer look at these online lending apps? And tell us more about that link to Pogos.
Well, for one, a few of our kababayans went to PAOK a few months back. I guess late December, kung ako nagkakamali. And they were kind of alarmed and anxious as to the number of threats that they were receiving from third-party collecting agencies. Basically, ang ginagawa po kasi ng mga online lending apps is once a particular borrower is unable to pay the the loan, they're being transferred to a third-party collection agency, and those collecting agencies are the ones who perform the so-called abusive collection practices. So I suggested to our director that we open a specific email to be able to receive all of these complaints. And mind you, as of last Sunday, we already received around 15,000 complaints,
Wow.
online complaints. So since yesterday, we have already received nearly 100 face-to-face complaints with signed affidavits.
And what led to the speculation that these may be linked to the Philippine offshore gaming operators?
We raided one online lending app early February, and that particular lending, although the case was thrown out by the city prosecutor's office of Makati, nevertheless, our investigation of the application led us to other applications and businesses which may be connected to a particular Chinese company who is uh, linked to a former offshore gaming operation. And we've also seen the trend, Gretchen, if you'd allow me, we've also seen the trend of other online apps that are linked to former Pogos and Chinese nationals. Generally, those companies that are associated to former Pogo owners and Chinese nationals are the ones conducting these abusive collection practices. It's almost the same template as the former Pogos.
And then these former POGOs are operating these online lending apps from abroad because you're doing a manhunt for these POGOs, right? And then deporting them already.
The only real issue here, Gretchen, is the financiers, the foreign nationals who own these lending apps are several steps away from the actual operation. So it's really difficult to be able to catch them. But what we find are digital footprints that lead us to the real beneficial owners of these companies. Kaya we're very happy that SEC is very adamant in closing down lending companies, online lending apps that are not only abusive but are unable to fulfill their reportorial duties as mandated by our Securities and Exchange Commission law.
Okay, maaari po bang malaman kung magkano po nagre-range itong usual borrowing by Filipinos in these platforms?
Generally, you could start as low as 5,000, 2,000 pesos. And then, the interest of your loan could balloon up to 4 million pesos. In fact, there is a
Wow.
complainant who complained, who filed a complaint last Monday. Basically because her loan has ballooned to 4 million pesos due to accrued interest. There are many questionable practices by these online lending applications, Gretchen. For one, nag-a-apply ka pa lang, you have yet to fully submit all the requirements, so to speak. They already download the quote-unquote loan amount to your GCash or to whatever applications you have, no, or to your bank account. So, and the truth of the matter is, in as much as we don't have an anti-usury law anymore, the interest could be very exorbitant. So your loan amount could be, say, the principal is 10,000 pesos, but they download less than 6 or 7,000 pesos to your account. Then the collection practices raises alarm, as your headline states, no? Kasi if you're able to pay at a certain date, no, not even at a certain date, days prior to the actual date that you are to pay the loan amount, nagpapadala na po sila ng mga harassment eh. In fact, last year, there was someone who came here to our office. Ang sabi nung mama, pinadalhan po siya ng kabaong sa bahay niya.
Wow. Oo.
So, really terrible. The collection practices are really terrible.
Okay, can you walk us through how first the whole process, no? The first step would be how Filipinos get lured into these online lending apps. Saan po ba nakikita yan? Meron po ba sila mga ads online? How are these apps discovered?
For one, they're all over social media. They're all over the internet, so to speak. They pay sponsored ads over social media, and ang dali kasi the real lure is that they don't ask for collateral, Gretchen. No, it's very difficult to get a collateral free loan from our regular financing institutions. Alam natin 'yan. You cannot go to the bank and get a 50,000, 100,000 loan without providing some semblance of a collateral. Dito wala, no? Dito wala. So they're all over Apple Play Store and Google Play Store. They're all over it. So you can easily download them. You send one or two identification cards. Then you provide a reference, quote unquote, a guarantor. And the worst of it is, they ask for access from your mobile contacts and from your social media contacts. No? In the guise of conducting background investigation, when in fact it's not background investigation they're doing, but rather a collateral for them, so that in the event that you're unable to pay the loan, ayun, harassment ang tatanggapin mo kasapagkat
Papahiyain ka
all
na.
your
Oo.
contacts will receive the harassment, so to speak.
Okay. And then, how much is the interest on these loans? Declared interest.
That's the tricky part here, Gretchen, because we don't have an anti-usury law anymore. They could charge as an interest as low as 10% to as high as 40% and 50%. That's why it is very important for our kababayans who patronize these online lending applications to always look at the fine print of the digital contract that they are entering into. Pag pinirmahan nila, pumayag sila sa 30% interest, 40% interest, then wala na po, huli na po sila.
But what's more alarming is what you mentioned a while ago, na minsan hindi ka pa tapos mag-apply dun sa loan mo, ay ipapadalhan ka na ng pera sa GCash mo o sa e-wallet mo.
That's
I mean, paano po yun? And how do you guard yourself against that when you just have your wallet and you don't have control over who sends you money?
Precisely. And that is a matter of fact because one of our staff here in PAO, nung nagki-case build up po kami neto, pinaka-usapan namin siya kasi siyang case officer netong kasong ito. Sabi nung aming isang kapwa-director, sige, mag-apply ka nga, hindi pa po siya tapos, nag-download na siya. The question, how do you guard from these practices? For one, you really need to go to the website of the Securities and Exchange Commission. They have a list of online lending apps that are legitimate. No, that's the first thing. Go through the SEC website and check if the application that you're applying a loan from is legitimate or not. Be that as it may, there are also instances that even legitimate, quote unquote, legitimate online lending apps are also into these particular dubious practices. For example, Digido is a licensed online lending app, but the Securities and Exchange Commission have called their attention in as much as they were able to open 4 different applications without a certificate of authority coming from the SEC. Going back to your question, how do we guard ourselves from this particular dubious practices? Really, there is no foolproof, there is no fail-safe manner by which we could guard ourselves. Siguro, ang may papayo ko sa mga kababayan natin, aside from looking at the SEC list of allowed online lending applications is they should look at the reviews. They should look at the social media chatter. Ano bang sinasabi ng kapwa nila mga nag-i-interest umutang sa mga oras na ito? Look at the chatter. Kung makita mo naman kung medyo negatibo yung sinasabi sapagkat merong mga grupo. There is a movement known as United All Victims Movement na siyang katuwang namin at saka ng SEC sa pag-flag down dito sa mga olas na ito. Magtiyaga lang po, huwag agad-agad paluloko ng mag-download, utang agad. Look at the chatter.
Paano ho kung wala po kayong kaalam-alam at bigla po kayong pinadalhan ng pera and then they start harassing you? Even if you did not willingly click through this online lending apps, what should a user do in event of harassment? And yun nga po, yung walang kaalam-alam, pinadala ng pera tapos pinapabayad kahit, how do you deal with that situation?
Well, two things. Kapag pinadalhan ka na po at hinaras ka na po, report to PAOK, report to SEC, and report to the PNP. Kami pong tatlong magkakatuwang dito sa one-stop shop na ito, laban sa mga abusive lending application na ito. Go to us. We are here Mondays to Fridays and in some instances, even on weekends. In fact, ngayong Sabado, we're organizing another mass reporting or mass filing. Second, kung medyo pero ang pinaka-importante dito is think before you click. Yun po talagang pinaka-importante nito. Sapagkat hindi ka naman po mapapadalhan ng ganitong mga abusive na mga collection practices and so on and so forth if you did not provide them your social identifiers. Ito pa po yung isang problema this online lending apps abuse you by sharing your social identifiers. Your social identifiers are private data. No? They don't have the liberty to share it to just about anybody and allow those people to abuse you through those social identifiers. So, just think before you click. That's my basic advice to everybody out there.
I want to go to the data that is being used to harass. What comprises that data usually? Hindi po ba napakadaling humugot na lang din ho sa social media accounts? Kung wari, titignan po yung mga post ninyo, hulaan kung saan kayo nakatira, kung sino yung mga connections po ninyo. Hindi po ba yun ang ginagamit for harassment?
Well, you're able to do that because you provide them access to your social media accounts. Basically, ang sabi ko nga po, that is the guarantee that they have that you would pay the loan amount because you allow them access to your social media accounts.
Yung mga pinost nyo lang po willingly online without allowing them access but they are published online.
Well,
nagagamit po ba yun?
If they do, yes, they do that, Gretchen. And if they do that, you should complain, and we will provide you assistance to be able to make the necessary complaint before the National Privacy Commission because that is a violation of the Data Privacy Act. Truth be told, meron ho talagang ganoong mga nangyayari din po.
Okay, so for those who are watching us now, what should we be careful about posting online? Like what information we give out that could lead to this victimization and harassment?
Well, what I always tell people online is this: stop posting ATM at the moment. That's one. That puts you in danger because people will be able to locate you where you are. That's one. Second, stop posting your addresses. No, stop posting your house, stop posting your social activity that would identify your location, your house, your family, and so on and so forth. And lastly, I would caution our kababayan from posting pictures of our minor children. In as much as not only online lending apps could be able to use this against you, but there are so many sexual predators out there who simply capture the picture and use that in other not so in very fiendish way, so to speak. No? So be careful with what you post. Basta yung una pong pinaka-importante, stop posting at the moment in relation to other possible criminals, at the moment pictures. Second is, don't provide too much information about your life. Kasi kukunin po nila yan, yung mga online lending apps, if you say that you're working at this particular company, chances are they will send yun nga, pwede kayong padalahan ng kabaong, ng bulaklak ng patay doon sa inyong bahay, kaya doon sa inyong place of occupation, place of work. So, just be very cautious and careful with what we post online.
Okay, bilang panghuli po, how do we contact the one-stop help desk of the PAOK and the SEC and the PNP?
Two possible ways. One is you could come to our physical location. We are at 50 Williams Street, corner FB Harrison in Pasay City. We are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. In some instances, we would open the one-stop shop on a Saturday. Second, if you're unable to come to our physical location, simply send first your concern to our email addresses or to our Facebook page, to our social media page. Then we will take a look at the number of complainants at a possible location, and we will contact the local SEC and contact the local PNP to be able to assist us to get your signed affidavits from your physical location.
Okay, all right. And what is the Facebook page of PAOK?
Simply key in Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, and you'll find us on Facebook.
All right, it is quite an alarming issue with 15,000 complainants, as you mentioned earlier. 15,000 complainants. We hope we get to catch the culprits of this and stop this from happening. Maraming salamat. Thank you for shedding light and clarity on that issue. We have PAOK spokesperson Winston Casio joining us on Morning Matters today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back right after a short break. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Hoan here on Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. Vice President Sara Duterte's legal team now includes 16 lawyers as the House names an impeachment spokesperson and the Senate defends its actions. The impeachment trial faces delays, and for that, we have Professor Michael Henry Yusinko to help us break it down. He joins us from the Ateneo de Manila University. Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning to all the listeners and viewers of the program.
Several developments here since we last talked. First of which is there is already a spokesperson for the prosecution team appointed by the House of Representatives. What do you make of the choice of Attorney Bukoy? And is it usual to have a spokesperson?
Well, I really have nothing to say about the person, but certainly the appointment of a spokesperson is beneficial to us, no, to the public and to media, because we now have at least one dedicated channel of information coming from the source. So it's immaterial for me who that person is. Of course, I would say that the appointed person is a highly esteemed lawyer, so that's a big plus. But the appointment itself of a designated channel of information, I think that's beneficial.
Why is it beneficial? What do you think that will do to the or in shaping public perception about this trial?
Well, the expectation I would have is that information, at least pertinent to the prosecution, will just come from one source. So there will be at least, I think, discipline when it comes to divulging pertinent information. And I think that's beneficial because the public will only get to hear what they need to hear instead of having no spokesperson and allowing multiple personalities saying their 2 cents about the issue, and that can lead to confusion amongst the public. So one source, one mouth, so to speak, will help the public really understand the issues that need to be deliberated on.
And listening to him a while ago, he was quite definitive with the constitutionality of what has been happening over at the Senate. And in his tone, medyo commanding, ano? It kind of reminds me of spokesperson Claire Castro. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's one of the advantages of getting a seasoned lawyer who's presumably well versed about the Constitution and the intricacies of the Constitution, specifically provisions pertaining to the impeachment process. So it's really helpful, no? Helpful for us, at least us trying to analyze what's going on, because we hear common sense, we hear, or at least sensible views or an analysis of what's happening, rather than just bardagulan or mudslinging or just trying to catch the attention of the public.
Do you expect the same strategy from the defense, even as they have appointed 16 lawyers for the vice president's team? Do you expect them to go with one spokesperson? And what do you make of the 16 lawyers?
Regarding appointing a designated spokesperson, I think that would be a wise move, for the same reasons, for the same reasons that I mentioned earlier. Regarding the number of lawyers, as a former litigator myself, that hardly impresses me. In fact, the more lawyers you have, the guiltier you look. I mean, that's just the conventional thinking of practitioners, litigators, when I was litigating. So it may look impressive to some. Obviously, the choice of law firm is understandable, given their expertise on impeachment. But the sheer number, you can take it as impressive, but I remember back in the day when I was still practicing and litigating, I would always hear, old school lawyers say, the more lawyers you have, the more guilty you look.
And baka kasi there are 7 articles of impeachment. Baka tigda dalawang lawyer, hindi kaya ganun yon yung strategy na yon. How would that how would that play out?
That's a fair point, Gretchen. I didn't think of that, but that's a fair point. Maybe because of the sheer volume of the articles they need that kind of manpower, and they might distribute it accordingly.
Okay, let's go to the constitutionality of the Senate impeachment court's behavior. They assert that they have not violated the Constitution. Senate President Francis Escudero even claimed that the impeachment court has no limits when it comes to what it can do. To which several legal experts have responded na may limitasyon. Hindi porket sui generis ito o unique of its own kind, pwede mo nang gawin ang lahat ng gusto mo. Your thoughts on that?
So first, the Senate already violated the Constitution by not acting on the articles of impeachment immediately. No? I mean, a 5-month delay is not acting forthwith, right? I mean, that's just plain common sense. So they should have acted on the articles of impeachment months ago, and they should have triggered or initiated the trial process months ago. So that in itself is a disrespect or disregard of the constitutional command to commence trial without delay. As far as saying that the impeachment court has no limits, that's completely wrong in my view, because we all know that the Constitution is the supreme and paramount law of the land, and therefore everyone, everybody, every process must adhere to the Constitution, which means the Constitution limits everyone, including the impeachment court. So, Senate acting as an impeachment court is certainly definitively limited by the provisions of the Constitution, particularly Section 3 of Article 11. So to say that to me is very alarming. That cavalier attitude is very alarming, and it's plainly wrong.
But isn't the Senate allowed to create its own rules regarding the impeachment? I know that there are already rules in place from the 2011 impeachment, pero hindi ba parang usually, I remember this, Senator Chis Escudero said, gagawa pa sila ng rules, dadaan to sa committee yung rules. I mean, what kind of liberties does the Senate have to approach this with regard to the context surrounding the impeachment? To some extent, Associate Justice Adolf Ascuna, the writer of the word forthwith, already said that he does not see any unreasonable delay because there was the context of the elections surrounding the impeachment trial. So, pagdating sa mga rules na maaaring gawin ng Senado, hindi ba they are at liberty to craft those rules with regard to the current situation?
So I wouldn't actually frame it as having liberty to craft rules, no? Because the Constitution directly commands them to formulate those rules. So it's not as if that's their own power, no? It's an authority given to them by the Constitution, and therefore those rules must still adhere to the Constitution writ large, no? So they cannot just nitpick provisions and say that they can do this and they cannot do that, no? So the Constitution says forthwith, without delay, but obviously that gives them room to prepare for the trial. It doesn't mean that kinabukasan they should conduct the trial, no? So the Constitution contemplates the Senate formulating their rules, formulating their procedures for the trial to be conducted. But at least for me, that can be done within a month, I would say, no? So a 5-month delay just to start the trial, I think, is unreasonable. I'm not saying that they can finish the trial within 5 months. What I'm saying is they could have started or initiated the trial process months ago.
Okay, but when it comes to formulating those rules, what should be done? What's the procedure here? Should that be brought to the floor? Who has the authority to craft those rules? At meron bang botohan, no, on those rules?
Yes, they have to, obviously, they have to assign a committee to draft it, no? To write it down, or to revise the existing one. But ultimately, it has to be voted upon by the plenary, because this is the Senate we're talking about. So it has to decide as a body. So the drafting may be initiated by a committee, but the final result has to be voted upon by the body.
And we haven't seen that yet. Am I correct?
I think you are
So we're
correct.
still following. We're following the existing rules back in
That's right.
2011.
So, if I'm not mistaken, they have decided to follow the current one. They've decided not to change it. So that's why we are following the existing rules.
At ang sabi naman ni former Senator Tito Soto, siya daw yung author nitong 2011 rules, at sabi niya, the senators are not allowed to file a motion. Senator judges are not allowed to file a motion themselves. But Senator Francis Tolentino, on the other hand, argues that it has been done in the U.S., where a senator judge actually filed a motion to dismiss. And sila, ang final nila is a motion to remand and to clarify certain things. For example, on the constitutionality of the procedures done in the House. So, I guess the question is, under the current existing rules, hindi ba talaga allow ditong motion kahit mag-clarify lamang na move mula dun sa mga senator judge? Hindi ba parang sa hukuman, ganun din naman yun, no? Pwede nilang ibalik para magkaroon sila ng kalinawan dun sa nililitis.
So first, Gretchen, let's establish that you only refer to external references like kung anong ginagawa sa Amerika or kano ba yung intent ng drafters natin when there is ambiguity in the words of the Constitution, no? Let's bring that out kasi when there is no ambiguity, when there is no confusion as to what the Constitution prescribes, the rule is we apply what the Constitution says, no? So, ang sabi ng Constitution natin, trial must commence forthwith. So, the Constitution says trial, not dismiss, di ba? Trial. In other words, I would understand this in its plain meaning, which is for the prosecution to present their evidence, for the defense to present her defense, no? Yung impeached official to present her case, and then the senator judges render either conviction or acquittal. So these are the parameters set by the Constitution. And therefore, the senator judges are obligated to just follow what these parameters command. No? They cannot go beyond the parameters set by the Constitution unless there is a confusion or unless there is ambiguity. Eh wala naman ambiguity, no, na nakalagay sa saligang batas. Sabi trial commence trial or commence hearing or whatever. That has to be the command that they should be obeying.
But do you agree with the comment of Associate Justice Adolf Ascuna that this was unwittingly brilliant on the part of the Senate? Unwittingly brilliant dahil they in effect bound or binded the 20th Congress to actually proceed with the trial because of the second provision na kailangan sila ang magsabi kung gusto nilang ituloy.
Yeah, that's one view. I don't necessarily subscribe to it. Kasi if you can look at it that way, Gretchen, but ultimately the 20th Congress will decide whatever they want to do, right? The Senate that will be part of the 20th Congress will decide what to do. I don't think they will think that we're bound to do this or that by what the 19th Congress said. No? Ganyan naman ang nature ng mga politicians natin eh. So I would rather look at that matter as to whether it can carry over, no, yung from the 19th to the 20th Congress as a constitutional issue. No? Is this can this be sanctioned by those parameters that I mentioned? Obviously, at first instance, it will be the senators who will determine that, right? Kung payag ba sila to carry over, they share the same view as the drafters and myself, or they can, parang just consider their political interests for 2028 and say, tigilan natin to para wala nang gulo, right? But that matter, because it's a constitutional issue, I'm pretty sure it will go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can, resolve it with finality, whether it can proceed, can carry over or not.
Actually, sabi ni Senator Coco Pimentel, no, that bringing a case against these senators and what has been done over at the Senate to the Supreme Court could be a trap and a distraction. Kasi kumbaga parang it diverts the attention from the main issue on Sara Duterte to the legalities, to the constitutionality. How do you see this moving forward when it comes to the articles of impeachment being remanded to the House? They have deferred accepting it. Parang nasa impasse tayo. How do you see this moving forward if Senator Coco Pimentel thinks it's not wise to go to the Supreme Court with this?
Well, first, I don't think we're at an impasse now. No? Kasi if you look at the remand order closely, it says that it does not dismiss or terminate the trial, no, the hearing. In fact, the trial is now moving along. No? Na-issue na yung summons, and the lawyers of the impeachment have entered their appearance, and they're now deciding whether they would answer, etc., etc. So, the trial is actually going along now. Yung mga drama na nangyayari about deferring response to the remand order, etc., those are just political drama now. These are just political politicians showcasing themselves, no, or their knowledge about the Constitution or the lack thereof, no. But really, the nitty-gritty of the trial or the impeachment trial is moving along because they've already issued the summons, and the lawyers of the impeached official has acknowledged receipt of it, and will proceed accordingly. So I think Senator Coco Pimentel is correct to say that going to the Supreme Court might derail or at least confuse the issues in the impeachment trial. Kasi parang nagkakaroon ng dalawang tracks. Meron ng Supreme Court track, tapos meron pang impeachment track. So, also as a litigator, I also share that view na tapusin na natin yung impeachment trial para ma-settle na yon. Huwag na natin muna dalhin to sa Korte Suprema. Unless, of course, there is a urgent and concerning constitutional matter that has a significant bearing on the decision of the case.
And going back to the start of this interview, given the recent movements of the House and the team of Vice President Sara Duterte forming their own team for the prosecution and the defense, does that mean that this impeachment trial will proceed?
It certainly looks that way, no? And it should. No? The fact that there's already a set of defense lawyers, there's already a set of prosecutors, this trial should proceed as it was intended to proceed by our Constitution. Anything peripheral to this process, I hope we can block off. No? Yung mga pasikat-sikat lang na mga lawmakers, pabayaan na natin yon. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, Maganda na nga yung merong spokesperson tayo na naririnig at least disiplinado yung
Oo.
pag-divulge and pag-diffuse ng information. So I hope and I expect the impeachment trial to proceed now.
All right, forthwith, it is, no matter how delayed that is. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Professor Michael Yusinko, for weighing in on with us here at Morning Matters. Maraming salamat sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din.
And don't go away, more matters to discuss right after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Concern over online misinformation in the Philippines has hit a record high. According to the Reuters Institute Digital News report, 67% of Filipinos said they are worried about fake news. Now, that number is a 4-point rise from the figure in 2024 and a 10-point lead from 2020. This places the Philippines 9 points above this year's global average and 7 points above the average for the Asia-Pacific region. The study surveyed over 97,000 people across 48 countries, including more than 2,000 Filipino adults. Social media influencer Queen Hera has filed a complaint with the NBI after discovering that a photo of her young child was being sold on a pornographic website. The influencer said she was alerted by a concerned follower who came across the disturbing content. The NBI is now investigating and working to trace the uploader. Authorities are also probing whether a group is behind multiple cases of online child exploitation. Experts warn that sharenting, the practice of posting children's photos online, can expose minors to serious risk, including long-term emotional harm.
Posible silang magkaroon ng mga mental health concerns paglaki nila, lalo na hindi naman sila aware at hindi sila ang nag-decide na ma-post ang isang photo or video nila online.
The military has convened a special court-martial to hear a sexual assault case against a Philippine Air Force general. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla confirmed that 2 junior officers filed rape and misconduct complaints. The investigation and trial are ongoing, with a parallel civilian case also in place. Padilla said the military will comply if a civilian court orders the general's transfer to jail. Names of both the accused and complainants remain anonymous.
Investigations and trial is ongoing as of this time. We'll keep you posted po pagka meron ng final results of the case and verdict. He's still under custody of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
And Las Pilipinas men fell short in their ABC Nations Cup opener, bowing to world number 46 Pakistan in 4 sets. After a rough start, the Filipinos fought back in the third and fourth sets, led by Leo Ordiales' 22-point explosion. And new standouts Buds Budin and Peng Tagibolos also made key plays late in the match. But Pakistan's strong service game and crucial block challenges sealed the win, despite a late rally by the Philippine squad. Alas men face a must-win game against Chinese Taipei tomorrow at 7 p.m. In world news, former President Donald Trump's family business has launched a new mobile service and smartphone under the name Trump Mobile. It will use existing networks from major U.S. carriers and offer a sleek gold $499 smartphone. The service, priced at $47.45 a month, will include features like unlimited texting to 100 countries, telemedicine access, and roadside assistance. Eric Trump said U.S.-based manufacturing could begin in the future. The service is managed by T1 Mobile LLC, though its ownership remains unclear. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.